Time out. All right, so according to Financial Failure and the Confederate Defeat by Douglas Ball, in 1860, out of the $52 million in customs collections, Southern ports paid $4 million. That's 7.6% of the tariffs. Now, it should be considered that because some supplies from overseas were landed in New York and then carried south, Southerners as financial consumers indirectly paid bigger than an 8% proportion of tariffs, but by no means 75 to 80%. Most likely South paid no more than proportional by white population's share of tariffs, and probably less, according to contemporary eyewitnesses.
Are you serious? When you start talking about these particular movements, one of the general responses to that is that, well, yeah, go on, get out. Because you know what? If y'all left, we would be better off economically anyways. Because all the capital, all of the innovation, all the things, all the money is in the blue states. In other words, the red states are a drag on the American economy. There's a lot of people down there on public assistance in those red states. A lot of people that don't produce as much. They're not a net earner for the United States. They take more in than they give back. It's one of the common arguments. And historically, these red states have been in that particular position since the war. Now, since the war. Before the war, the opposite was true. The southern states before the war in 1861 had the highest per capita income in the United States. They were net producers. The net consumers of public welfare. When I say that, I'm talking about things like tariffs and the benefits of federal spending, internal improvements. Those things went more to northern states than they did to southern states. Now, of course, people will pull out data and say, no, McClanahan, you're wrong. Look at this data from these ports here in New York. Look at this tariff data. Look at all this economic data. The North was paying more in taxes than the South. Well, they had more people. But not just that. You're not looking at the entire picture. Southerners, per capita, were paying more. You see, they had to pay more because the economic disparity was not that high between the two. And there were fewer people. So Southerners were generally paying more and getting less out of the general government than the North. In other words, the North was a net receiver of federal money, whereas the South was a net producer. So you had this situation, a very wealthy Southern section, and people recognized it. Now, a lot of that capital was tied up in slaves, but even outside of that, there was a really good article